What's good, guys? So today we got another video we're going to take a look at. Y'all wanted me to react to this. It's called Wuthering Waves Needs More 4-Star Characters. 7 Things Wuwa Desperately Needs. Now, y'all know me. If you come to the streams, y'all know that I stay talking about things that could be added or changed or improved from the game to make it better. Wuthering Waves is an amazing game. Hands down, probably the best open world anime-esque type of game. Beautiful, characters are amazing, but like everything in life, there is room for improvement, and hopefully this video shares some ideas. And as we go along, I'm going to tell you some of my own ideas, or overall what I think about the ideas that this video is telling us about. So without further ado, let's hop on in and see what Vars has to say.
Appreciate it's Kuro's willingness to continue improving the game's quality of life and gameplay experience, not just based on player feedback but also anything they can think of. Feels like every new patch there's a laundry list of things they fixed up or added to the game. Not sure how much of that was requested by the players or if they're adding a bunch of things we didn't ask for but appreciate, but either way it's definitely refreshing that Kuro is diligent about this stuff.
Yeah, let's be honest. When it comes to Wuthering Waves, if you played Wuwa 1.0 to Wuwa now, the game has had so many quality of life upgrades that it's actually insane. I've played a lot of other games out there when it comes to the gacha scene, and they'll have shit that sucks from the game, and you'll play these games a year later and they still have the same things that suck. Whereas Kuro might not add everything we want, but little by little they are improving the quality of life of the game. I will give them that. They have done a great job so far.
Normally, players have to start a riot or create loud enough backlash before companies acquiesce to doing their bare minimum, and I can kind of get why great UX design's a very thankless job. People seldom notice when quality of life gets implemented, but they are quick to notice when it doesn't, which is why I'm glad Kuro's getting the appreciation they've been getting for the effort. The game isn't perfect and has a few noteworthy flaws, but like I said in my year 1 retrospective, I gotta give credit where it's due. It's for this reason I think Wuwa's the best game to make this sort of video for because they're the game that's realistically most likely to actually be receptive to it and implement the changes requested. So today we'll be going through 7 things, or I should say 7 more things Wuwa could benefit from doing. Let's get into it. 1. More 4 stars. First order of business and probably the most highly requested.
You don't even gotta go in there, but we're gonna listen to what he says. Bro, honestly, I've played so many gacha games, and I still play a lot of gacha games, and I'm not bragging about it. Who brags about that? You gotta be a weirdo to brag about playing gacha games. But I play so many gacha games, and what makes team building fun in these games are the 4 stars a lot of the time. Yes, the shiny things, the ones that draw people to pull and spend money are the 5 stars. But I don't know about y'all, but when there are 4-star characters that shine every time a new unit come out, it's so good. Even if it's an old 4-star character and then they release a brand new 5-star unit and you're like, yo, that 5-star would work really well with this 4-star character. Where they make them very niche, where you could use them for specific scenarios, but it's just fun. Not only that, but being a brand new player, or even a player that's been playing for, 5-6 months to a year, and pulling on the standard banner and always getting the same exact 5 stars and 4 stars is boring. So 4 stars would add so much variety to the game, and it would solve the ever, showing problem that this game seems to have, that is the lack of other options. A lot of people had a huge issue when they heard that Phoebe was going to be very important for Zani, right? How if you wanted to maximize Zani, you needed Phoebe because of the frazzle stacks and all of that. So it would have been good if they dropped a 4-star character along the way that also did frazzle stacks, so you didn't have to pull Phoebe, right? They could have added it to the Zani banner. That way, as you're pulling for your Zani, you get a 4-star character that also applies frazzle. Therefore, your Zani team is now working very good. You might not have the premium option because you wouldn't have Phoebe, but you would have another option, and it goes the same for every single team and every single feature. It would be good if they had other options to allow characters or people to have an easier time team building.
One is 4-star characters. Wuwa could use more 4 stars. The last one we got was Lumi back in 1.4 more than half a year ago, so I feel like it's about time they started making some more. They did tease a bunch of units to us during their first anniversary stream, and while I'm sure they're all going to be 5 stars, I wouldn't mind if 1 or 2 of them were of the lesser rarity. I will say this though, even though Wuthering Waves hasn't been releasing new 4-star characters, there hasn't been as much pressure for them to do so given the way they go about their units. For example, the fact that the 3 playable elements of Rover we have so far all perform quite well for a free unit gives every player, free to play or whales, a strong baseline when it comes to taking on the endgame. More importantly, Spectral and Dare Rover serve as a cornerstone for their respective engines, even though Phoebe and
There's a problem with this, though. There's a problem with what he just said. Yes, Rover does work with a lot of these teams, but we only have one Rover, and we have multiple game modes that require you to have 2 or 3 teams. So you can't really use Rover in multiple teams. Like if you're in Tower and you're running your Rover with your Spectral team, now you're kind of scuffed with your Arrow team, right? If you're running your Rover as your Havoc main DPS, now you can't use it on your Spectral team or your Arrow team. So like, while I understand that for Rover, that's really not a solution. Yes, it helps to a certain degree, but it's really not what players are looking for. That's why 4 stars are needed in the game, and it would at least make things better. Like, I don't see why they don't add a 4-star like every 2-3 banners. It wouldn't hurt them at all. They already have characters they could pick up from the game. They don't even have to be story characters. I mean, look at a character like Yang Liao. He's a whole NPC. Nobody gives a damn about him. You never see that dude in the story, apart from maybe in the background picking up trash or something. And he's still in the game, so they could add 4-star characters and not make them necessarily be story main characters, right? There's other characters like that. We have the GOAT, Calculator, Kidney Stone, Calcharo. He's never in the story, and he's in the game as a 5-star. So they can just pick up random, cool-looking 4-star characters and add them to the game.
their respective engines. Even though Phoebe and Chacona doing a lot better, Zani and Cardathea can still get the job done even with only Rover, which alleviates the burden of pulling for all the hyper-specific units. On that front, Wu's teams consist of only 3 party members as opposed to the usual 4 or 5 that most other games have, meaning there's one less character you need to work on per team to get them off the ground. In addition, with most players having Verena on their team and Verena being able to work for literally any party on a competent level at worst, the need for new 4 stars isn't too imperative. That, and I'm pretty sure Wuwa gives enough free asteroids per update to allow players the ability to pull for new 5 stars at a decent rate. And
they do give us pretty good asteroids to pull for characters that we want. But the thing is that a lot of times you have to pull characters for very specific units. You could use them anywhere, right? Like Siakona, you could probably use her with multiple teams. But the thing is that most people are going to pull Siakona to run with Cardathea. Like, there's probably some people out there that will pull Siakona just because they like Siakona. But you're really not going to have people saying, yo, I'm going to pull Siakona because I like Calcharo. Yo, I'm going to pull Phoebe because I like Cantarella. Like, that, it doesn't work like that. Most people pull certain characters to run with their teams. Unless you're John, because he pulls random crap. But most people have logic to why they pull. You know what I mean?
for those who have been playing since day 1, they'll have gotten the 5-star select, as well as the free 5-star we got as an apology for the rocky initial launch, and of course, Shangliao in version 1.2. Encore, Shangliao, and Verena are still extremely present in the metagame. All the same, most of version 1 saw general team building with most characters being usable interchangeably with each other. For example, Sanhua and Verena being in almost every single party. But now that we're entering more specialized combat engines like Mono Fusion, Mono Arrow, Mono Spectral, it would be nice if they gave players a couple 4-star options to keep up with that. The current lineup of Sanhua, Mortefi, Tanchen, Baichi, Chisha, the Rovers, and Yang Yang do a good enough job holding down the fort. However, more is always helpful. As for what kind of 4-star we would need the most,
look, these 4-star did a great job holding down the fort. The reality of it is that nowadays, with the introduction of the new elements, right? Or not the new elements, the new features to the elements. Spectral Frazzle, Arrow Erosion, in the future, Havoc Bane, and all those other ones. These characters do not fill those roles. None of these characters from the official launch of the game have the new buffed up, not elements, but like features to the elements. So you're kind of forced in a way that if you want the best optimal team, or at least a solid functional team, you gotta pull the main character and the sub DPS or their support, or you can go ahead and make some gimmicky ass team that will still work, because at the end of the day, Wuwa is very easy. You can clear it with almost anything. But the 4 stars did their job in the first year. I feel that for the second year, they should 100% start adding characters to the roster, to the 4 stars, that fit with the new elemental changes that they've done and they're implemented to the new characters.
4. However, more is always helpful. As for what kind of 4-star we would need the most, I'm honestly not sure. For Havoc teams, Dungeon and Havoc Rover can work as a pair, and the former can play well with other Havoc units like Camellia and Frolova, so that's covered. Spectra teams have Spectra Rover and Verena. Again, Zani would like Phoebe, but it's still usable. Air Ocean has Air Rover. Glacier teams have Baija. Fusion teams have Encore and Shisha. They're not best in slot, but they do get the job done. I think a good 4-star option would be a 4-star Whimpering Waste character. Technically we have Yang Yang for that, but I think a 4-star DPS option with AoE grouping capability can be a huge help for people.
Okay, but see, here's the thing. He talked a lot about these characters, how they have these options, but he's not really talking about the new mechanics so far, at least, and that's a very good reason as to why you can improve. And that's the only angle I really have as to why they have to add new characters. Yes, a new Whimpering Waste character would be great. You know how we have Don Jin, and Don Jin is like the solo boss nuking unit. She'll just solo everything and, you know, go up against bosses because she's a boss. Maybe a character like Don Jin that does work in Whimpering Waste would be really good, but we have other characters that are pretty damn good. I forget the name of this girl. Yang Yang. Yang Yang is pretty good in Whimpering Waste. Not the best, obviously, but I get where he's going. He's just putting out angles as to how they could add new 4-star characters.
People in Whimpering, seeing as that game mode isn't as skill dippable as the other ones. You just need someone who can blast through as many enemies as possible as quickly as possible. I'm not sure what free-to-play players are doing for Whimpering since I just take Camellia, GN, and Zani and AFK clear stuff, but I can imagine Whimpering Waste being difficult for people who don't have at least one super AoE clearing team or Rocha. Outside of that, probably another general hypercarry buffing unit. Right now the only two we have are Sanhua and Mortefi. Sanhua being good for how fast you can outro skill on her, and Mortefi's Liberation in addition to both of them being good conduits for Moonlit Clouds and their S6 20% attack buff, but maybe someone who could give like a general buff to attackers. I had half a mind to make someone like Chikona where their Liberation lets them choose what attack type they augment, whether basic attack, heavy attack, skill damage, what have you. That would be pretty cool. Overall though, given the circumstances, it's not an imperative need for one, but I think releasing a 4-star every couple versions or so would do good in keeping the roster more balanced.
100%.
Number 2. Targeted Echo Merge. I know this one technically already has a solution compared to other games that flat out don't let you farm more equipment. Wuwa gives you the ability to endlessly farm the main stats on echoes you want by going throughout the worlds and killing stuff, then once you run out you can go to a friend's world and repeat the process, which is great. But if I may be so entitled as to ask for more, I think the merging feature could use a touch-up. As you know, the data merge is a system wherein you can take 5 unleveled echoes and turn them into one new one at random. On some occasions, you can even get a buy one get one free deal with a bonus echo. Couple that with being able to theoretically farm echoes until you hate yourself, and main stats are practically a non-issue in Wuwa. However, there's one grievance I have towards data merging, the fact that you cannot choose what echo you get. Basically, the game will hand you one of any echo type you have in the Pokédex, aka databank, but considering there's like 100 different echoes in the available pool, the odds of you getting the one you want are slim to none.
So look, this is actually a pretty interesting, you know, thing that he's bringing up. Just today I was maxed out on echoes and I started merging my echoes, you know, batch merging, and I just kept getting a crap ton of useless echoes that I don't even use. I wish we could target what we wanted and have an easier time getting those echoes. I know it would lower the time when it comes to grinding, but I mean, I feel that it would help out a lot, and it's not even like game breaking. Getting the main stat is not that big of a deal, but at least letting us select what type of echoes we would want, even if it's like pick 3 and you pick those 3, and then if you batch merge, you know, you'd get a bunch of those same 3. But dog, batch merging 100 echoes and then you go look at the result and like you get 2 that are maybe usable and then the rest is just trash. It's like we don't get anything from dismantling our echoes, which first off is stupid. We should at least get coins, right? Like regular coins, not a lot, but something, bro. You can dismantle 1,000 echoes and you don't get shit. So I feel that some way to let us get something out of having so much echoes would definitely be appreciated. I don't know about y'all, but I don't like the fact that we can dismantle echoes and we don't get anything. Not even like 1 coin per echo, damn it. Just anything, man. I feel that they should definitely do something, and this could be something they could do. Targeted echo merging or other things along those lines.
You need to get the right cost echo first, 1, 3, or 4. Then you need to make sure that echo's in the right set, since one echo could be part of 2 or even 3 different echo sets. At that point, you can basically forget about aiming for a certain main stat echo. All the batch merge is
purple
meant to do
echoes?
is clear out your
What?
inventory space, because out of the 100 echoes you throw in there, maybe only like one of them is an actual good target stat. Which brings me to the number 2 suggestion. I would be more than willing to throw in 10 echoes or heck even 20 echoes if I was allowed to at least choose the Sonata set. We already have the onboard echo box that you get from the 1000 Gateways event, letting you choose from a selection of Sonata pairs to pull from. That could be a far better way of implementing the data merge than simply giving us a random echo. Yes, I'm aware given the fact that you can farm theoretically endless amounts of echoes in the overworld, the whole RNG thing from merging is somewhat of a non-issue. But the point of quality of life is convenience at the end of the day. Small of a change this might be, I feel like it's not beyond the realm of possibility for Kuro to implement it.
Agreed.
Number 3. Training room. Not sure if this is something that would
I would kiss him in his neck for adding this particular thing. Just today on stream, we were testing out my builds, my characters. We were mid-maxing builds, mid-maxing echoes, and I was trying to figure out my damage numbers. How much damage do I do with this set? How much damage do I do with this set? How much damage do I do with this team? What about this team? I had to whip out a freaking calculator to find out how much damage I was doing with my rotation. How much damage I was doing total. How much damage my skill was doing. How much damage my liberation was doing. Everything was on screen for like half a second. Now, I played other games, and for example, one that comes to mind is Tower of Fantasy. At one point, they added a training room where you would literally go click start and you would do all your combo and it would tell you literally everything from your damage, like how much total damage your rotation did, your burst, your skill, everything right there on screen without you having to whip out a freaking calculator. Let me have a training room so I can test out my damage, so I could see which build gives me the best result without having to go into a hologram and worry about dodging and resistances and landing the exact attack at the right moment. The training room would be so freaking basic. It would be so good. You don't even got to give us a training room. Put a training dummy in the main cities in like a little courtyard or something. That's it. That's all you got to do. And boom, now we can test out our characters without having to struggle and worry about all these different variables. Oh, it dodged me. It got away from me. Blah, 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 blah. It would be so simple. So this, I already know is going to be a topic I like.
Universally benefit everyone compared to the first two, but I feel like a training room would be fantastic for theory crafting teams and such. A place with a training dummy that sits there and lets you beat over it to measure how much DPS your team is doing would be awesome for people who want to practice a game. And if I'm not mistaken, Punishing Grey Raven has one, so Kuro's already familiar with such a feature. To my knowledge, there's already an NPC in the game that lets you practice dodging encounters in Jinzhou at the start of the game, and I believe you can still train with them even now. But having something with infinite HP that lets you practice team rotations and quick swapping would greatly help out players who want a low-stakes environment
100%.
to practice. Granted, real enemies don't just stand still and let you do your thing, but Wuha definitely has a steeper learning curve as far as combat goes. Some characters have fairly elaborate rotations that take a good bit of practice to be fast with. I'm aware every unit has a tutorial mode where you can try their combos and stuff out, but those don't allow you to bring teammates of your choosing, nor do they let you test different rotations or combinations to see which one has the highest damage.
Exactly.
Most of the time, theory crafting is seen as more of a niche thing that spreadsheet slaves and sweaty players care about, but for Wuha, I actually think it's essential to have this kind of thing considering all the variables influencing a team's performance. Some people might look at a hypothetical rotation in DPS and think that's what they need to do, but they could be hamstringing themselves by not having the right practice. In addition to that, I think a boss simulator would be handy. It can get rather tiresome to learn the mechanics of a boss when trying to beat it, since at lower difficulties they just die immediately, and at higher difficulties they one-shot you. Perhaps
okay, that part right there, I mean, a boss simulator is hologram, especially now that you can literally just restart it and go back into it with all your liberationer filled up again.
One where both you and the boss are invincible and you're just practicing dodging and parrying certain things would be a good way for players to get the hang of.
I guess for people that need it to kind of learn, I guess both you and the boss being invincible, I feel like that's a little bit much, right? Because if you're invincible and the boss is invincible, like you'll learn the patterns, but you won't learn the risk, right? So I think it would be better to know the risk as you're learning the boss patterns little by little.
Bosses without having to go through the tedium of resetting over and over again. Although,
but anything helps, right? Whatever.
I suppose ever since they made it so energy's brought to
See,
full at the
yep,
start of each hologram, you can just keep throwing yourself at the boss until you eventually get the hang of it.
yep,
But either way, a training room would be certainly worthwhile.
yeah.
Again, quality of life additions are less about what is immediately necessary and more about what's nice to have.
Yeah, it's more about what helps the game in the long run. So like a long time ago there was an issue where Kuro asked us in a survey what we would like to have them add in the game. And one of the options, I believe, was like housing or something like that. And people got so mad about housing. And I was like, bro, housing could give us so much. It could give us a training room where you can go out and train your own rotations, you know, check if a team that you have is better with a little bit more crit rate or more damage and less crit rate, or with more attack or more basic attack, things like that. A lot of times people are building characters and they don't get to truly see what makes their character tick. For example, when I was building Brand, I was testing it with one of my friends right on the Discord, and we were testing out the damage numbers. I had better stats all around except in basic attack. I had more basic attack, but he had higher attack than me. The character scales off attack, but it turns out that the way we were, checking things out, it was a little bit better to have higher attack than higher basic attack, right? And there are other characters that will be better to have higher, for example, basic attack than higher attack. Zani is a good example because when I build her, I had her really high on attack. I had attack percentage on every piece, but I had low heavy attack. I built her differently. I got less attack percentage rolls, but I got more heavy attack percentage rolls, and now she deals more damage. Ideally, you want to have perfect rolls on all your echoes, but we're not going to do that. We don't have the ability for that, big man. So a lot of times you work with what you have, and it would be really good for us to be able to test what we have and what gives us the best results for our characters. Simple as that.
Number 4, Waveplate condensing.
Yes.
Kind of a small one, but something that I think would be nice in the off chance you're short on time but don't want to feel guilty about losing it. As you know, Wuo lets you store up to 240 waveplates, filling up over the course of 24 hours. Any additional points generated on top of that get stored into a bank of sorts that accumulates energy beyond 240 at a slower rate. Further, certain farming spots like the materials or taster field areas afford you the option to double claim as a way to shorten the amount of grinding you have to do every day.
Yeah.
The implementation of those features is obviously very much appreciated since you can blow through your energy in a matter of like 5 minutes, so I might just be asking for a mile after getting an inch. That said, a way to condense waveplates into a separate type of item would be helpful for certain things, like if you're trying to stockpile energy to power farm a new character coming out who needs entirely new boss material.
Especially because nowadays they be adding new echo sets for every single freaking character that they're dropping, right? So a lot of times having all that energy in there is cool and all, but it would be good if we can just condense it into the little gold cubes and just save those cubes. And whenever a new character drops that we actually like, then we can use all our energy. That would be a much better use of our energy. It wouldn't take anything from Kuro, it wouldn't hurt nobody, and it would just make grinding, and once again, the tedious process of getting good echo rolls that much easier.
Or something along the lines of that. Echoes you can technically pre-farm via the 1000 gateway boxes, but overall some form of supplementary energy storage would be nice.
Yep.
Number 5. Autotune. No, not the kind of autotune you find in music videos. This is a personal gripe of mine. As someone who tries to min-max echo leveling,
I was about to say
really
they added this, but
about
you put the note there. So it turns out they already added this in 2.5. Okay, good.
Leveling echoes is how I have to first level up the echo, then tune it, then level it up again, then
we already know this one because it's been added.
The whole process gets tedious a bunch of times. I would like to up all at once at a later point. Or maybe I'm just in the minority, who knows. Number 6, Endless mode. The last two things are going to be content related, but one...
Please give us an endless mode. Dog, I used to play Warframe, and they have a survival mode, and you would go in there and just fight as long as you could. You could be there 5 minutes, or you could be there an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, just non-stop killing waves upon waves that obviously got higher level and got harder as time progressed. Give us an endless mode. Give us something that we can do to just play and grind and just test how strong we are, and actually test right now. Not even free-to-plays really get to test how strong they are, because everything in the game is so easy. And you could say, yo, well, hologram 6 aren't easy, but you clear them one time after struggling for a few days, and then you're done. There's nothing else. Tower is extremely easy, even with S0R1 characters. Whimpering Waste, despite the fact that it kind of got HP inflation not too long ago, it's still relatively easy once you have the characters to beat it. So an endless mode would be something. Something for endgame would be amazing. An endless mode, endless tower, chef's kiss.
Thing I would love to have for this sort of game, on account of it being very hack and slashy, is an endless game mode. Sort of like a combination of tower and whimpering, where you face endless waves of enemies that get increasingly more and more challenging via some kind of procedural generation algorithm.
And please don't make it be in a single room that is just a circle. Please don't do that. We already have the doo-doo ass design that is Whimpering Waste and Tower. That's just a circle. At least make it like a room where enemies spawn in different areas. You know, Warframe, y'all get the deal if you've ever played that game. If not, it's basically just like a building, right? And enemies spawn in different areas, and you gotta go and kill them to maybe extend the timer, right? The more enemies you kill, the more extended the timer gets. But if they spawn in the same area, right in a circle platform, it's boring. Make it so you have to move around the room, kill the enemies. Yeah, that's a cool thing. I like that.
As far as humanly possible. To prevent the game from getting sweatier than it already is, they could simply add it for bragging rights or for leaderboard achievements, but no rewards. Longtime viewers of my Wuthering Waves content may know I often showcase background footage from Mormont, and it's incredibly satisfying to see someone really good at the game speedily made a name for herself by literally skill diffing the game under the most extreme conditions, and the very nature of Wu's combat engine makes it so you can pull off some crazy feats in this game. I'm not kidding, you should see dungeon mains. They unironically get off on keeping dungeon at perma 1 HP, then dodging and parrying everything like it's a die in the game, die in real life type scenario. In any case, Endless Mode offers players a chance to see how long they can hold out before enemies eventually get too numerous and too powerful for them to last any longer.
It would be so fun!
I got this idea from stuff like Paper Mario The 1000 Year Door's Infinite Pit of 100 Trials ROM hack and Pokerogue. People go crazy for those games, and I can imagine a whole new niche of content for something like this.
Yo, just seeing how much content could be brought into the game by just adding a tower, and then adding every week they can reset the tower, so the scores and the leaderboard gets reset, and then they could just add different freaking elements to it, right? They could make it so after you clear the first 20 floors that everybody could do, every free-to-play anybody can do, right? The first 20-30 floors. After that, you don't get rewards, you just get placed on a leaderboard. No rewards, just leaderboard, right? So you could see if you push to level 100, level 200, and every week they can change it. So enemies are resistant to Glacio. Enemies deal more damage to fusion characters. Stuff like that, bro. And then it would be so interesting, bro. It would be so interesting.
Imagine watching a streamer just perma-dodging and parrying everything and reaching level 100 or something, where mobs are so strong they literally one-shot you if they so much as touch you.
That would be so good.
Number 7. Make Depths of Illusive Realm permanent. Depths of Illusive Realm was actually...
We've been asking for the GOAT since the beginning. To this day, I don't know why Kuro took it off. It makes zero sense to me why Depths of Illusive Realm was taken off. The only thing that comes to mind is that the rewards were too good for people. Because it makes no sense that the mode that everybody liked the most was taken off, and they keep giving us some BS examples of what it could be, but they don't give us the mode that we all want. It makes zero sense to me, bro.
Actually a ton of fun when it was around, and I can't figure out for the life of me why they stopped doing it. It used to be a big thing back in version 1, where we had it for version 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, and 1.4, but ever since they brought in the Fantasy 1000 Gateways thing, which I suppose is meant to be a spiritual successor, they never brought back Illusive Realm. Surely they can have both of them. Having a long-term progress thing in Wuthering Waves would be nice. I'm all for rotating game modes like Tower and Whimpering and whatnot, but as someone who grew up playing MMOs, I'm a sucker for continuous progress.
Yes, sir.
Something that makes me feel like my account now is much further in progression than 6 months ago in more than just how many characters I have. I think that's something all gachas stand to benefit from in general. It would be nice to have something in the game that makes people feel as if they're making steady progress towards...
Bro, that's such a good thing that he just brought up, because what he just said is exactly how I feel. I feel like the only way to measure the progression you do in Wuthering Waves is how many characters you got. That's it. Because 5 months ago, you could clear Tower and Whimpering Waste, and now you can still clear Tower and Whimpering Waste. You can't make your characters any stronger. You can't make your account any stronger. That's it. And I feel that there's a lot of other things they could implement to give you that sense of progression, where you know that little by little your account and your progression is getting further and further. We'll see.
towards an ultimate goal instead of everything feeling like a routine that refreshes every so often.
Yup.
I'm not certain if they have plans to reinstitute Illusive Realm, but if they could make it a permanent thing and rework it a bit, that could be an opportunity to add some more long-term progression for players. Also, I miss the Illusive store they had. Anyway,
That
those
store
are the
was
7
great.
things I believe would be great for Wuthering Waves. Of course, there are way more than 7, but we'd be here forever then. Let me know in the comments below what quality of life updates or features you think they should add to the game. I'd like to hear what you have to say on this. As always, if you enjoyed the video, a like and subscribe would be much appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter @FarsVarum, join my Discord server, and check out my other Wuthering Waves discussion videos if you haven't yet. But till next time, thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
That was a good video by Vars. Low-key, I enjoyed that video. There's a lot of things that I think are needed in the game. It's not just quality of life changes. I do feel that they definitely got to give us more content to play that feels important, right? A lot of the content we do right now in the game feels superficial as hell. There's no sense of difficulty whatsoever. And recently we all ran into what everybody was saying, you know, HP inflation in Whimpering Waves, and I feel that that's not really a way to make the game harder. It's a cheap, pathetic way to make the game harder. I feel that if they add more game modes, things that actually impact with the way we build our teams, like a tower mode, right, and things like that, it would improve the quality of the game. It would allow us to test our characters and just overall enjoy the game a lot more. There's a lot of things that we can sit here and talk about that could improve the game, in my opinion. But for now, I do think that they gotta keep improving the game. They've done a great job. Hopefully they keep improving the game. Quality of life should not just be things that make the game play smoother, right? You know, flight and things like that are good, but also that enrichen the game, that give us a deeper gameplay experience. But that's going to be it for me. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this video and what ideas you have that could improve Wuthering Waves. For now, hit that like button, subscribe, join the Discord. We have some dope stuff going on Discord, and we chat it up every single day. I'll see you guys next time, and peace.